Good morning, Chris here. Today I woke up to a message in my inbox from one of our co-creator community supporters who had a question. And she said, during this time of pandemic, how do we break free of the procrastination that comes from when we are so isolated? There's kind of it's easy to get into sort of a slump of not being productive. And what Jackie wanted to know is how do we stay productive? How do we get productive when we're not feeling productive? And there's really two sides to this question that are so important to consider. First is, of course, the emotional component, okay? And the second is, of course, the technical or functional component, actually doing. And I'm gonna look at the emotional component first because I think that's the important one to really acknowledge. And I'll wait for that truck to pass. So the first thing to realize is that our mind wants to tell us what we should or should not do and feel at every given point in time. That's what the divided mind wants to do. It wants to punish us, and by punishing us, it can keep control of us, right? That's what its goal is to criticize us. That's evident by the idea that we should be productive during this time we have at home. For some people it's extra time, for some people it's less. Depends on what their lifestyle is. But the idea that we should be a certain way is external, and it's not true to the moment. So one thing I would really invite you to do is feel into, what is this feeling of should? Why, quote unquote, should you do something? Usually underneath the should is some element of truth, okay? A desire to make a difference, a desire to make a change, right? That's usually what's underneath the should, right? But it's wrapped in guilt, in shame, in judgment. And so part of what we want to do is pull away the guilt, shame, and judgment so we can see what the genuine heart's desire is, okay? Second thing is, along the emotional lines, is give yourself permission to do exactly the opposite of whatever you feel you should, quote unquote, do, okay? So if you feel you should be productive, then the most important thing you can do is give yourself permission to not be productive, okay? Now that doesn't mean you won't be productive, I'm not saying that at all, but having the permission to not be productive will actually help relax your soul, free up your energy, and it actually gives you more energy to enjoy and do the other things that are important to you. So I would really invite you to spend some time just allowing yourself to be unproductive. And if you want to, I would actually recommend you budget time. This ties into the second thing, functionally, what can we do? And that is have some schedule, some routine. It doesn't have to be down to the hour, although my family currently does have things down kind of blocked. We know that morning until 3 is work time and school time for my son. After that, we go for a walk, family dinner, play a game, watch something funny, get ready for bed. Then I work a little bit more usually. So we have a general schedule. However, what is essential is to have some habit or routine that anchors you into automatically being productive, okay? And what I mean by that is you only have to accomplish 1 or 2 things a day to feel productive. And one of the things we can do is start our day off right, okay? And I've talked about this several times. My morning routine is to wake up, take a cool shower, go for a walk, eat breakfast, right? Now, it's important, actually, to get some kind of exercise each day, and that will help with productivity. So a 20-minute walk, anytime you can get it, or 2 10-minute walks, doesn't matter. Definitely get the exercising, because that actually releases feel-good endorphins. It's great for your immunity and your health, but it's also really good for emotions, okay? It helps us balance. It helps us get our lives in sync. It helps with weight loss, not because of the calories burned, that's old science, but walking actually helps with weight loss, particularly if we do it before a meal, because it gets our bodies warmed up and all the right endorphins and hormones going to digest, to produce. It gets our circadian rhythms on the right track. So as far as being productive goes, my first advice is find some morning routine that works for you, okay? The second thing is to actually budget in your time and schedule. You know, if we don't go for, we actually time our walks for 2 p.m. every day, because that's the only time that it works, because my son has a Zoom meeting with his teacher at 3, right? And so we go out at 2, we shoot some basketball hoops, my parents go for a walk. Whether or not we want to, no matter how busy we are, we do that, right? And we know we're getting our exercise every day at 2 p.m. And that's despite the fact, or in addition to the fact that I get my walk in the morning for myself, right? So if you want to be productive during this time, that's one thing you can do, is get some kind of morning routine, and also budget in time for what's important to you. So Jackie had mentioned that she is putting her skills to use right now. I believe she said quilting or sewing. And that leads into something else that can be so helpful during this time, which is find a way to be of service, okay? It doesn't matter what it is, some way. There's a group on Facebook called 𝘃𝘁𝘆𝘆. I'll post a link to it inside this Patreon post, because it's a place where people can ask and give during this pandemic. Okay, so I saw a post in there of a single father who is on food stamps and had to care for his 2 daughters because the mother was sick with COVID. And what he did is he posted an Amazon wish list, and I just went in there and I fulfilled like 3, 4, 5 things on there, and Amazon just shipped it straight to him. Okay, that's a way to make a difference. And I'm not saying you have to do that, but if you need help, go to the 𝘃𝘁𝘆 group and see if you can help. Then go and see what kind of help people need. It might be local, it might need some masks, it might need, someone might need who knows what. So that's one thing you could do to make a difference, right? Another thing, like Jackie said, is she's sewing. She's, putting that to use. For you, being able to make these videos, waking up and having feedback about what I can do to improve the quality of your life during this time fuels me, right? That's why I now give away all my programs for free, because I want to make a difference, and that's important to me. But as far as productivity goes, here I am on my morning walk, and at the same time, sharing with you what we can do to be productive. That is productive to me. I'm actually producing productive. The root of productive is produce. I'm producing something that is both fulfilling to me, but meaningful to you. So look at what you can do that makes an impact in the world. Me waking up every day to serve you, that lights me up. That is a big part of what gets me through the day. I can also tell you that an important thing is finding humor. So if you want to be more productive, find a reason to laugh every day. Okay, it's great for the hormones, the endorphins, and it doesn't make you explicitly more productive. But what it does do is set the stage for the right mentality to be productive, right? And every night when my family and I watch TV, we are watching something funny. We are watching, right now, I Love Lucy, until that series is over, and then who knows what we're going to watch next, right? But I guarantee you it's going to have humor, because that is something that is enjoyable. And that's also ties into what I said earlier about budgeting or scheduling time to be unproductive, because I'm not a big TV watcher, honestly. If you had asked me 2 months ago, would I ever schedule every single day TV time, I would have said, no, you're crazy, not going to happen in a million years. And here we are 2 months later, and it was one of the first ideas I had for our family when we were setting out a daily schedule of things, is I said, we need TV shows that will make us laugh every day, right? So I've scheduled my non-productive time. And that's not to say that I'm super productive the rest of my day. Like everyone, I go through my slumps of feeling non-productive and then being really productive. There's a book called The One Thing, and I really recommend it, because it really talks about the idea that, each day, whatever it is that we're looking at, wanting to improve, there's always one thing we can do that'll move us forward, in a positive way make a difference. And it's usually the one thing that accomplishes the most. So it's kind of like Pareto's 80-20 rule. 80% of results come from 20% of our effort. Well, if we keep that in mind, each day there's one thing that if we get done, it will perhaps make us feel the happiest, or make the biggest difference, or maybe it will be the most productive. I'm not going to sit here and try and define what the one thing should be for you. That's just the divided mind thinking it knows best. But rather suggest and invite you to look at what is one thing each day you can do that will help you feel whatever you want to feel. Happiness? Fine. What's the one thing each day that will help you feel happy? What about feeling productive, right? For me, I find multiple of those one things. I know if I start my day off with a cool shower that wakes me up and a walk, I have already succeeded in helping my health, my immunity, in my digestion, in weight loss, all that stuff. And that's just the first 30 minutes of my day, right? If you think about what the one thing is that I can do each day to serve you. Right now, that's making a video. It could also be something like writing a blog post or being on an interview, right? They're making a program, an ebook, sharing with you a resource from somebody else that could help you improve your life. So there's a lot of things that I could do, but I only have to do one of those things each day to feel productive, right? That's what you're looking for, is that feeling of productivity, because right now, whether we understand it or not, whether we realize it or not, we are in a collective and personal trauma, okay? And I've been through severe trauma many years ago. My dark night of the soul, something that I still have not spoken publicly about. There are legal ramifications to it, and I have to actually discuss with attorneys, probably multiple attorneys, before I can just share that part of my story publicly. But the point is, I know what it's like to have been severely traumatized, and I recognize this is a time of severe trauma for many people. Not everyone. I don't want to sit here and say that everyone's time is the worst ever. And I think that we really have to understand everyone is experiencing this differently. And for those who are not experiencing trauma, who are having some of the best times of their lives, you know, introverts who work from home and are serving people in a way that is not dependent on some of the things that are not working in our society right now, those people are probably having one of the best times of their lives. While I don't fall in that category, I'm somewhere in between. You know, I already work from home, but my life has been significantly changed. And there is no doubt that when all this is over, I'll be looking at the ways in which I've experienced trauma and what I need to do to heal that. And so knowing that we are collectively and individually going through trauma, one of the things I learned was also to find the grace, find the beauty, find the gratitude in my experience. And every night before bed, my son and I share 3 things that we're grateful for every day. And sometimes it's the same 3 things, but it's 3 things from that day that we're grateful for. And again, this helps us focus on what is good and true in our lives. It also helps minimize trauma we may be experiencing. It'll also do something interesting, which is, if you've followed my advice earlier, if you have some habit, some pattern, some schedule, something that literally forces you to do at least one productive thing a day, then at the end of the day, when you're wrapping up and you think about what you're grateful for, you'll find out that you were productive, right? That whatever it was, you found at least one thing that made a difference in your life. And it might be something that makes a difference in someone else's life. So there's a lot here. I would recommend, if you've just been following along, that maybe you watch again, take notes. I didn't really mean this to be as long as it is, nor as detailed as it is. And it ties into, we'll just keep it going, one other thing, which is being present, right? The divided mind, when it tells us we should be productive, we should make a difference, you know, we should do something, that's taking us out of the present moment. And as soon as we're out of the present moment, we're in our heads, we get lost, and that's where we don't find true happiness. So if you can, anytime you find yourself feeling very heady, very lost, very guilt, shame, doubt, anything you feel like you should be doing, take a few deep breaths. Ground yourself in your physical body. Feel the sensations in your hands and your feet. You know, when I'm walking, I'll feel right now the sensations of my feet on, you know, the pressure of walking on the concrete. I do have shoes, but feel that sensation. I can feel the sensation of my hand holding this phone for now 15 minutes, which is starting to make my thumb ache a little bit. But that's present, that's real, that's true. If I had had some list of notes that I was going to read to you, that would not be very present, right? So when I do these morning walks, while I do have an idea, a concept, a starting place, usually a question from somebody in our community, especially on the co-creator level, you know, when I have that inspiration, it's basically like a springboard for me. And I never know if my video is going to be 1 minute, 2 minutes, 5 minutes, or now going on 15, 16 as I look at this. So I just want you to know, at the end of the day, it's okay to be you. It's okay to not be productive. And if, when you are present with yourself, you find there is a genuine desire to be more productive, rewatch this video, take notes, and pick 1 or 2 things that work with you. You don't have to do everything, right? That's just the divided mind trying to tell you what you should do. You should do all these things 𝘃𝗁𝗃 or whoever else says to be productive, and that's complete BS. What is true is that when you listen to your heart, when you genuinely listen to it, you're going to find and discover what feels good, right, true to you, and that will lead you to being productive in the ways that are right for you. And maybe that will be productive, you know, 9 to 5. Maybe you'll be crushing it all day long, as Gary Vee likes to say. Or maybe you'll be productive for 20 minutes, 30 minutes, and not for the rest of the day. Either way is fine. Right now, it's more important to follow your heart, to do perhaps that one thing that matters each day, than trying to conquer the world. And it's easy to get lost in that because, you know, if you're on Facebook and follow a lot of inspirational people and pages, they'll be saying, well, this is the time to write your book. This is the time to build that business you always wanted to build. And yes, that opportunity is absolutely there. This is a fantastic time for those things. And if that is in your heart, then budget out 30 minutes a day to work on your book, right? 30 minutes a day to work on your business. Now, if you get more done, that's great, right? But if you just budget a bare minimum of whatever you know you can do, then, you know, and you schedule it in, right? Then you're going to be able to move forward with something in a way that's meaningful to you. And if that's not what's in your heart, don't worry about it. Find some other way to quote unquote be productive. Maybe being productive is simply preparing healthy meals that if you've been on the go for most of your life, it might be nice to learn how to cook now, right? My son's learning how to bake. You know, my mom's helping teach him how to bake and how to cook and how to barbecue. And, you know, I'm using part of this time to help my son learn skills that he will need later in life that we're often too busy in being quote unquote productive with other things in life, basketball, practice, school, etc., that he hasn't had an opportunity really to do and I haven't committed to as a parent, right? And I can acknowledge that part of right now what feels successful to me is knowing that my son is learning some valuable skills from my mother and having some quality time together. Now, if I don't stop now, you're going to be on watching this video for, gosh, all day, because I could talk all day about what helps us improve the quality of our lives, not just externally, but internally, what's in here, right? So if you have any questions, write them in the comments below on this post, or through Patreon, send me a private message. I'd be happy to make more videos like this for our co-creators in our community and make a difference. So thank you for being part of our community. Thank you for being you, and just know that you are loved. Talk to you soon.